Advanced Heroquest Gaming Aids. Verminlords. The sign of the rat. The 3 bars crossed. The cursed triangle. Know it well, for the Skaven can't go anywhere without marking it on the walls. You spot it, and you know they're there, and they're proud of it too. They aren't quite so monstrous as to not rally to their banners, nor to rage when they're torn down. Break them, or burn them, and you break their spirit, and send them packing. The Lord of the world below, the great horned one, the Underfather, the Lord of ruin, the rodent god, the harbinger of disease, he who is 13, and he of the 13 secret names, all epithets of the great horned rat, the minor chaos god of the Skaven. He has but one demonic manifestation, the Verminlord, dark and terrible and wholly absent from Advanced Heroquest. Let us change that, and give the ratkin of our dungeons yet another weapon for their already potent, if unpredictable, arsenal. The week before last, we got a request to do some rules for a Verminlord in Advanced Heroquest. There is, of course, a reason there are no rules for Verminlords in AHQ. They did not themselves get any rules in Warhammer Fantasy until 4th edition. A full edition after Advanced Heroquest had been published and then left to rot. For our purposes here, what follows are the rules we came up with using our empirical method of converting over 3rd edition stats to Advanced Heroquest, as well as the thought process we went through as we did this. This is our first time using these guidelines to convert over the stats for a model from a later edition, so it will be interesting to see if they still work. My feeling is that for 4th we're okay, but once we hit 6th, things will no doubt get trickier. Feel free to try out these rules, and any feedback is always welcome. And if you have any requests, please leave them in a comment. Anyway, let's get started. Bravery and intelligence. To start with, the easiest characteristics to do are bravery, which equals leadership, and also intelligence, which equals intelligence. Converting these over gave us a value of 10 for both bravery and intelligence. Pretty much standard for greater demons. Wounds. To generate the wounds characteristic, you simply add 2 to the Warhammer Fantasy Battle profile. This gave us 9 wounds. Speed. Next up was speed, and this stat necessitated the application of a modifier in order to keep the stat line within the maximums of the rules parameters for Advanced Heroquest. Normally, the speed characteristic is calculated by adding the movement stat to the initiative. This gave us 18 though. The maximum for a stat in Advanced Heroquest is 12. So it was necessary to modify this value down by 6. This is not unusual for Skaven though. Other models we have made rules for have had similar modifications to their speed characteristics. Basically, Skaven are very quick and very nimble. Toughness and strength. To calculate the toughness of a model, you add 2 to the original stat. This gave us 9. Next was strength. To generate this, you again add 2, and this gave us 10. Bow skill and weapon skill. To calculate bow skill, you simply add 2 to the original Warhammer stat line. This gave us 10. Weapon skill is normally calculated by adding 3 to the stat value. This gave us 11. Points cost. Verminlords cost 600 points in Warhammer Fantasy, 4th edition. Thus, they have a points value of 20 in AHQ, just like the other greater demons. Damage. What weapon a monster uses, cross-referenced with their strength, affects the amount of damage they inflict. The Verminlord fights with a unique weapon called a Doom Glaive, effectively a magical halberd of sorts. With the Verminlord's strength of 10, this means they roll 8 damage dice. In Warhammer Fantasy, Doom Glaives are weapons that have been heavily ensorcelled with death magic. A hit from a Doom Glaive inflicts not 1, but D3 wounds. To represent this in AHQ, we have decided to manipulate its critical wound value, and have codified this in a new rule called Ensorcelled Weapon. Ensorcelled Weapon. Ensorcelled weapons cause critical damage on the roll of a 9+. This means that if a roll of a 9 or more causes a wound, it may be rolled again. This roll too can cause critical damage, but only if it wounds and a 10+ is rolled. This roll also can cause critical damage, but only if it wounds and an 11+ is rolled. Any subsequent rolls can also cause critical damage, but only if a 12+ is rolled. Be careful when using this rule, it only applies to the wound roll, not the hit roll. And as the weapon is essentially a halberd, it fumbles on a 1 or a 2 for both the 2 hit and 2 wound rolls, but criticals on an 11 or 12 when rolling 2 hit. Let us now quickly look at an example to clarify the rules for you. Rogar, hero of Heroquest fame, finds himself attacked by a Verminlord. Rogar's weapon skill of 8 means that the Demon of the Horned Rat requires a 4 to hit. The demon gets a 7, hits, and gets to roll 8 damage dice. The ensorcelled weapon rule means that rolls of 9 or more are criticals, just as long as a 9 is high enough to wound the target. Whether a damage dice wounds depends on the toughness of the target. As you can see, Rogar has a toughness of 6. In our roll, the 8 is a wound. 4 dice fail to wound, and 3 dice, the 11, 10, and 12, cause criticals, and can be rolled again. These will wound on a 6 or more, but this time they will only cause a critical on a 10 or more, 1 higher than the previous roll. We get 2 7s and a 6, 3 more wounds, but no more criticals, as we did not roll a 10, 11, or 12. In total, that's 7 damage. Had we rolled a 10 or more, that could be rolled again. That dice would cause a critical on an 11 or more, again 1 higher. And had this dice too caused a critical, it too could be rolled again, causing a critical only on a 12. In this encounter, Rogar will be killed unless he spends one of his 2 fate points to negate all of the damage. Special rules. Verminlords get the following special rules: Invulnerable, Fearsome Monster, and Large Monster. Invulnerable. Invulnerable monsters require a powerful, well-aimed blow to damage them. When rolling damage dice which score equal to or greater than the monster's toughness can only be counted if at least one 12 is rolled. This does not apply to damage rolled as a result of a free attack or to any attack made with a magical weapon. Fearsome monster. If a hero or henchman finds itself in the death zone of a fearsome monster at the start of any combat phase, that model must check for bravery. Roll a die. If the result is greater than their bravery, the character will cower. If the roll is less than or equal to his bravery, he is unaffected. A model that cowers may not move, unless they run or attack, but they may open doors. Fearsome monsters are not affected by this rule, even if fighting another fearsome monster. Large monsters. Large monsters come on bigger bases. Any monster on a base at least 40mm by 40mm, but also larger, is classed as a large monster. When moving, choose an edge. You then move the monster the desired number of squares. They can be moved through any size door as normal, but can never finish a move part way through a door. If they do not have enough movement to clear the door, they must remain on the near side. Large monsters have death zones that occupy all spaces adjacent to them apart from the diagonal corners. Large monsters completely block any line of sight which passes over their bases. Line of sight to and from a large monster is not blocked by normal-sized creatures. And with that, the stats were complete. For ease of use, we have turned these rules into bespoke reference cards, and there is a link to download it in this video's description. It has a back, so simply print off the sheet, fold it in half, and glue. We also laminate our cards. If you try the Verminlord out in your games, we'd love to hear how they do. And once more, if you have any requests for further monsters, please let us know. Enjoy your games, and don't let the rat god bite. Thanks for watching.